Randonautica grew popular because it promised a sense of mystery and adventure. People would set an intention, like something beautiful or something mysterious, and the app would generate coordinates nearby. At first, it was a fun trend. Users posted quirky findings, abandoned shoes, weird graffiti, random objects. But soon, darker stories surfaced. People started finding things they absolutely shouldn't have. And that's where these chilling encounters begin. One of the earliest disturbing experiences came from a group of friends who simply wanted to test the app. They set the intention for danger, mostly as a joke. The app sent them to the edge of a wooded area late in the evening. When they arrived, everything felt normal at first, just quiet and still. But a few minutes in, they noticed carved symbols on a tree nearby. They looked old, unnatural, like someone had taken time to etch them deeply into the bark. As they moved closer, one of them noticed a pile of stones arranged in a perfect small circle. The stones were too symmetrical to be natural. Suddenly, they heard footsteps behind them, but when they turned around, no one was there. The footsteps got louder, closer, circling them, but nothing could be seen. They ended up running back to their car, convinced someone, or something, had been watching them in the dark. Another terrifying encounter happened during broad daylight, which makes it even more unsettling. A young woman decided to try the app alone. She set her intention to find something strange. The app directed her to a quiet suburban neighborhood, nothing unusual. As she followed the directions, she walked past a row of ordinary houses until she reached the coordinate. It led her directly to a mailbox. Inside, it was an envelope addressed to the explorer, which wasn't her name, but was clearly meant for whoever used the app. Inside the envelope was a single paper with the words, "Turn around." She froze, heart racing. When she finally gathered the courage to turn around, she saw someone standing at the far end of the street, completely still, watching her. She ran home immediately, deleted the app, and never went randonauting again. One of the most infamous encounters using Randonautica came from a group of teens recording their experience. They set their intention to adventure, expecting something exciting but harmless. The coordinates led them down a hillside to a rocky beach. They noticed a large object washed up near the shoreline. It looked like a duffel bag stuck between some rocks. Curiosity got the better of them, so they went closer and poked it with a stick. The bag felt heavy, unnaturally so. When they unzipped it slightly, the smell that came out was overwhelming. They immediately called the police. Authorities arrived, opened the bag fully, and found human remains inside. What started as a fun adventure became a crime scene investigation. The discovery left them traumatized, and it's still one of the most well-known disturbing events connected to the app. A less known but equally frightening story came from a couple who decided to try Randonautica late at night. They set their intention to truth. The app guided them to a remote back road outside their town. As they were driving, their radio suddenly started acting up static, strange whispers, things that didn't match the station they were tuned into. The closer they got to the location, the worse the interference became. When they finally arrived, they found an abandoned farmhouse. The place looked like it hadn't been touched in years. The windows were broken, the door hung crookedly, and the yard was overgrown. While they walked around, they noticed deep claw-like marks on the wooden walls. These weren't small scratches. These were long, violent gashes, as if something large had raked its claws across the house. Then they heard a loud thump from inside. They didn't stay long enough to investigate. They sprinted back to their car, and the moment they left the area, the radio went back to normal. Some people believe Randonautica opens a door to strange coincidences. Others think something else might be at play. Energy, fate, or forces we don't understand. One user set their intention for connection. They were feeling lonely and wanted a sign from the universe. The app led them to a small park. When they got there, they noticed a child's toy sitting on a bench, a teddy bear. Something about it felt off. It looked brand new but placed too perfectly, as if someone was waiting for them to find it. When they picked up the bear, they found a voice recorder inside. They pressed play, and a distorted voice began speaking. It said, "We've been waiting for you." The user dropped the bear immediately and ran. They later said the voice didn't sound human at all. Another horrifying case happened when a man set his intention to fear. Wanting to push himself, the app sent him to a narrow alleyway behind old stores. When he reached the coordinate, he found an old wooden door painted completely red. The strange part wasn't the door, it was the sound. From the other side, he could hear someone softly crying, but the crying didn't sound normal. It sounded echoey, distorted, almost like more than one voice layered together. He knocked, and the crying instantly stopped. Dead silence. Then something slammed into the door hard enough to shake the whole frame. He ran as fast as he could and didn't stop until he reached a crowded street. Some encounters aren't terrifying because of what people find, but because of what follows them afterward. One woman shared that after using the app, she felt like she was being watched for days. Her coordinates led her to a forest clearing where she found a single old photograph lying in the grass. The picture was of a family she didn't recognize, but someone had scratched out all their faces. She left quickly, but after that day, she noticed strange things happening around her home. Objects moved, lights flickered, and she constantly felt uneasy. She eventually threw the photo away, hoping the paranoia would stop. Whether it was her imagination or something supernatural, she never used the app again. Randonautica has also been linked to bizarre synchronicities. One user set the intention for answers, hoping to find clarity about personal issues. The app led him to a small roadside shrine with candles that were still burning, despite no one being around. In the center of the shrine was a piece of paper with the exact same phrase he had written earlier that day in his private journal. There was no way anyone could have known. The uncanny coincidence left him shaken. Some believe Randonautica taps into quantum randomness. Others think it mirrors the user's subconscious. But experiences like this make people wonder whether the app is truly random or something else entirely. A traveler shared another terrifying experience while using the app in a foreign city. Their intention was mystery, and the coordinates led them down a series of narrow streets until they reached an old stone building. As they approached, they saw dozens of candles arranged in a perfect circle on the ground. In the center of the circle was a metal box. When they tried to open it, the lid wouldn't budge. Suddenly, they heard footsteps from multiple directions. Not slow footsteps, running. They didn't wait to see who or what was coming. They sprinted out of the alley and didn't stop until they reached a crowded public area. Later, when they went back to check the place with friends, everything was gone. No candles, no box, nothing. Some Randonautica stories involve strange creatures or figures. A pair of siblings used the app one evening, setting their intention for adventure. The coordinates led them to a dirt trail near their home. They walked for a while until they reached an open field. As they stood there looking around, they noticed a figure at the far end of the field. At first, they thought it was a person walking, but the figure moved in a strange, unnatural way, as if its limbs weren't bending correctly. It would take a few steps, stop, then jerk violently before taking more steps. When it started moving faster toward them, they ran. When they looked back, the field was empty. Whether it was a person, an animal, or something else, they never found out. One of the scariest encounters came from a man who tried the app out of curiosity. He set his intention to darkness, expecting to find something spooky but harmless. The app sent him to an abandoned bridge on the outskirts of town. When he arrived, he noticed candles placed underneath the bridge in a circle. In the center was an old mirror standing upright. As he approached, he felt a sudden wave of nausea and unease. When he looked into the mirror, he didn't see his own reflection clearly. Instead, he saw a dark silhouette standing right behind him, even though no one was there. He stumbled backward, tripped, and crawled away without looking back again. Randonautica isn't just creepy because of what people find, it's creepy because the app seems to know too much. Users report coordinates that lead to places connected to their past, their fears, or their secrets. One man set his intention to closure. After losing a loved one, the coordinates led him to a tree in a park. Hanging from one of the branches was a small wind chime. When he approached it, he froze. The wind chime was identical to the one his late sister used to hang in their childhood home. There was no logical way it should have been there. This wasn't terrifying in the traditional sense, but it was unsettling, like something was guiding him intentionally. Another user reported something that felt like a bad omen. They set an intention for something unusual, and the app guided them to a burned-down house. In the ashes, they found a completely untouched notebook. It didn't look burned at all. When they opened it, every page contained the same sentence, "You shouldn't be here," repeated over and over. They dropped the notebook and left immediately. There's also the story of a woman who set her intention for fear. The coordinates led her to a field near her home. As she walked, she saw a tall figure standing perfectly still at the far end. Thinking it was a scarecrow, she kept walking. But the closer she got, the more she realized it didn't look like a scarecrow at all. It was a mannequin dressed in dark clothes with its head missing. Around its neck was a sign that said, "Find what you fear." She turned around and left, feeling watched the entire time. Some people believe the app might attract negative energy. A man set his intention to lost things. The app took him to a pond. Floating near the edge was a wallet. Inside it was an ID belonging to someone who had gone missing years earlier. The man reported it to authorities, and the case was reopened. Whether the app helped uncover forgotten clues or just led to a dark coincidence, the discovery was unsettling. Another user reported finding a chalk circle drawn on the sidewalk with strange symbols around it. In the center was a small wooden box. When they opened it, they found a lock of hair tied with a red string. They quickly closed it and backed away. The area felt charged, like static in the air. One chilling story involves a family who tried the app for fun one night. Their intention was the unknown. The coordinates led them to a forest trail. As they walked, they noticed strange markings on the trees, deep scratches forming patterns. They kept hearing faint whispers, though no one else was there. When they reached the coordinate, they found a large wooden cross planted into the ground. On it was a fresh piece of paper with the exact time they had arrived written on it. There was no possible way someone could have known they were coming. Some Randonautica experiences feel like warnings. A user set their intention for change. The app led them to a cliffside. There, etched into the rock, was a single word, "Leave." The word looked freshly carved. They took it as a sign and left immediately. Others experience what feels like impossible coincidences. One woman set her intention to the past. The coordinates led her to an old building where she found a key that looked identical to one she lost years ago. It even had the same scratches. She couldn't explain how it ended up there. Another user found a wooden sign lying in the grass that read, "We see you." No houses nearby, no people, just the sign. Whether these experiences are supernatural, psychological, or coincidences pushed by our own expectations, Randonautica has created a reputation for unsettling outcomes. Many people believe it taps into something beyond randomness. Others think it reflects the user's mind, intentions, fears, and desires. But regardless of what you believe, there's no denying that countless users have stumbled upon things that defy explanation. As more stories emerge, people continue to use the app hoping to find something exciting, meaningful, or mysterious. But as we've seen today, sometimes the adventure leads you to things that stick with you long after your journey ends. Whether it's a dark encounter, a chilling coincidence, or something that feels like fate, Randonautica proves that curiosity can lead you into unsettling territory. At the end of the day, the question isn't just whether the app is random. The real question is whether you're prepared for what you might find when you let randomness guide your path, because sometimes the scariest discoveries are the ones you weren't meant to find at all. If you're thinking about trying Randonautica after hearing these stories, remember this: always be cautious, never go alone, and trust your instincts. And if something feels wrong, it probably is. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there.